And another idea would be to group similar languages. So that, for instance, the idea that we are working together in the Nordic languages, that gives us some strengths, and that could also be something that could be done in other areas, not for all languages, but for some. So one could think about making some calls that are going to some regions or to similar languages so that they can bulk some of their efforts.
Thank you so much. Some really vivid discussion launched, and I would allow maybe a few other questions and we'll finish. Okay, please.
I think taking on the discussion which has just happened on how the mentoring can be done for the languages which are not yet at par with other languages with respect to the language technology development, there can be two mechanisms. One is that, like in India, we have northeastern part of the country, which is least developed. So at those kind of areas can be given an earmarking by the European Commission for funding. Like we have, compulsorily we have to spend some small part of the budget on those regions. So from that point of view, this could be one policy measures in which, like the lady from the Danish language is saying that nothing is done. So those kind of fundings can go to such areas. Second, the mentoring can happen, as she has said that the work has happened for some languages, some tools have been developed. I think this MetaNet initiative can really trigger that, because all those tools are being consolidated and being brought on the net. Some of those tools, they can be mentored to use those tools and create the basic resources, like they can get started with the corpora building, the morphological analysis, maybe the parsers, some tree parsing tree banks, like that. So the basic resources can be built, and then later on the technology development can happen with the help of computer scientists. So it's an interdisciplinary area. So within the country also you need to build an expertise where the interdisciplinary groups come together to work. So it's both ways. The European Union have to take certain initiatives, and at the country level you have to take certain initiatives. So then the agendas will match and can be taken forward.
Thanks. And one more, the last comment, please, or question.
Okay, just a little bit turning the discussion to a little bit practical sphere about where the language technology is actually applied. The technology is usually applied in some economical spheres, because there is particular reasons why we need the language technologies, not just only for societies here, but also for some business, for the government, etc. And interesting thing here is that different countries are developed in different ways. In some of the ways we have more transport, in some ways we have more automobile, in some ways we have more cellular, etc. It's really different. And so exchanging such kind of experience stimulates the translation itself, mostly stimulates the business translations. So one of the big questions, which I also found, for example, in the Eurolex conference last year, was so that the terminology usually started to be provided where the technology originated. And after that, it will be localized to other languages. So probably one of the stimulation for the funding inside the machine translation or other language resources lays in the area where it really could be applied on a country level in some specific areas. For example, would like to improve transport in Lithuania or transport in Estonia or some other ways, and cooperate, for example, with some other countries like Germany or some others. So what do you think about this? Could it be such kind of factors which really helps to also improve the language technologies?
Thanks. Would you like somebody
to? A very short comment. Well, I think that everything what you told is makes impact on the implementation of the tasks of well, to preserve a language. But the main points I wanted to point out that nobody from these small countries, I think, asks for more money from European budget. No, we just want a common mechanism equal for every language in the European Union. And that's the main point. And we have to, say to the market players, in this way, maybe you can win even more money, because the mechanism could play the same role for all languages. And that's why I think this is the two main issues which will be also important as arguments for politicians. That would be my answer. Thank you.
So, please.
I think one of the things that politicians have to understand is that it is not enough to make programs. That it is necessary to continuously work on this. And there is one simple reason for that, and that is languages do change, and they change all the time. And if we don't make systems that can adapt to that, we will never finish our task, and the systems that we make today will not be useful in five years. And to make governments understand that this is a continuous process, like making next year's budget. I think that is the biggest task of all. And then, of course, the whole idea of intellectual property rights on text and the material that we're using is something that politicians should work on, and there should be a common framework for that. So I think, but the continuous effort has to be strengthened much more than it is today. So single programs are simply not enough.
So maybe on this we will finish our panel. I would cordially thank all the panelists and ask you to join with my thanks.